It's Friday, March 28. In the headlines, theft and vandalism limit utility investment in backup systems. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tofton comments on a Cuban medical program. In business news, Barita offers new bond investment. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Stuart Young and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio discuss security and transnational crime. And in sports, Kingston College and Hydel in the lead after Day 3 of the ISSA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Director General of the Office of Utilities Regulation, Ansard Hewitt, warns that theft and vandalism are crippling service providers' ability to invest in essential backup systems for natural disasters. Speaking at the OUR's Stakeholder Engagement 2025 on Thursday, Mr. Hewitt stressed the urgent need to protect critical infrastructure. He highlighted the recurring issue of single points of failure, vulnerable areas in the country's infrastructure that, if compromised, could have widespread effects.
The reality with Beryl was that apart from the wide-scale damage done to the network of each utility, which rendered it impossible to provide service to customers in some affected areas, there were many instances in which service could not be provided because another utility was out of service. By far, the most common instances were those in which the loss of power quickly resulted in a loss of communication services and piped water.
Mr. Hewitt emphasizes the need for utilities to build redundancies to prevent such failures.
I accept that it will be nigh impossible to provide the kind of redundancy and contingency in all cases to allow the utilities to be able to maintain services independent of one another. I am concerned as a regulator, however, about the prevalence of this single point of failure. And this is definitely a matter to which we are giving greater attention.
However, he acknowledged the challenges service providers face in securing or investing in proper systems due to widespread theft and vandalism.
Our utilities must invest in such things as batteries, fuel storage, standby generators, pumps, solar panels, etc. To the extent that criminals and vandals prey upon these facilities, they make such investments prohibitive and endanger entire communities, sectors, and subsectors. The utilities can speak eloquently about how many areas were out of service for more days than would have been necessary if some criminal had not made off with critical emergency supplies and equipment, or where persistent criminal encroachment discouraged strategic contingency replacements.
Mr. Hewitt highlighted one case where vandalism cost a service provider billions of dollars over 2 years. He's now urging lawmakers to give this issue more attention.
Island Network, another telecom provider, reports that over the years, about 30 of its sites were broken into and vandalized. These include theft of batteries, each of which cost about $500,000 to replace. So, as I have done in the past, I want to use this occasion to signal the OUR's unequivocal support for the strongest legal measures feasible against any kind of criminal encroachment on the network and services of the regulated public utilities.
Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tofton has clarified that the Cuban doctors currently departing Jamaica are not victims of the United States visa restrictions policy related to Cuba's labor export program. He explained that their departure is simply due to the completion of their contract period. Dr. Tufton made the comments following bilateral talks with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and members of the Jamaican government on Wednesday.
A number will go back for others to come. In some instances, extensions are granted, but it's granted up to a particular point. The other coincidence, if you will, that is taking place, that currently we are renegotiating the MOU with the Cuban government. So there is a conversation that is taking place, looking at the existing MOU, looking at the possibilities for change. And so there's an opportunity from the recent discussions coming out of the US, the program, for us to clarify issues and maybe adjust elements of the agreement.
He was also asked about the impact of the current discussions on other Cuban medical programs, such as the Cuban eye care program.
That program continues. It's an extremely valuable program based at St. Joseph's Hospital and at KPH.
Dr. Tufton further stated that the meeting with Secretary Rubio highlights that Jamaica's diplomatic approach to the issue has been the right course of action. Meanwhile, the potential negative impact of the extended visa restriction policy on Jamaica was addressed, and Mr. Rubio said the advisory will have to be revised due to the decline in crime in Jamaica.
We pledged we were going to go back and reevaluate the travel advisories as they currently stand to ensure that they do reflect the reality of the new numbers and what the numbers show, because you've made very impressive progress in your general numbers overall when it comes to the murder rate and so forth. But in particular, with those travel advisories are designed to American travelers. And I think we need to analyze that and just ensure that the status we're currently in accurately reflects the status quo.
Following the press conference, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett commented on the issue.
It is true that we have had difficulties immediately with COVID, but we've overcome that. The issues of crime and violence against tourism in Jamaica is admirable around the world. At a 0.001% of visitors, we get 4.3 million visitors, 80% of whom are Americans. And the incidence of safety is very powerfully strong. So we feel very happy that a response of this nature coming from someone at the level of Secretary of State to our situation at this time. It will have an impact, a strong impact on the market.
The Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association is praising the U.S. government's commitment to reassessing its travel advisories for Jamaica. The pledge was made by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio during his brief visit to the island on Wednesday. Robin Russell, president of the JHTA, notes that significant progress has been made in addressing the concerns raised in the previous advisories. The U.S. travel advisory, issued in July 2024, had urged American citizens to reconsider traveling to Jamaica due to concerns over high crime rates and substandard medical services.
We're hoping that it will be reflected in the upcoming travel advisory. Anything negative, affects tourism, whether you're seeing it or by regulations, as in insurance or group travel. So when we have a positive outcome, then it gives us the opportunity to reach into more markets. So it would definitely be an added bonus not having to deal with a negative travel advisory.
Russell explains that the advisory had sparked some panic, leading to numerous inquiries from potential visitors. With approximately 80% of Jamaica's tourism arrivals coming from the United States, he expressed optimism that a revised travel advisory could help boost tourism numbers even further. Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. Nitram of Waterloo The 6-story complex comprises 1- and 2-bedroom units, with the 1-bedroom units being sold for $36.55 million each. This project is a public-private partnership between Sagicor Bank and the Jamaica Mortgage Bank. Sagicor contributed $680 million, or 49% of the cost of development, while the Bank of Jamaica injected the remaining 51%, or $720 million. Barita Investments Limited has announced the launch of its public bond offering on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Investors may purchase each tranche with a minimum investment of US $500 or Jamaican 50,000, depending on the tranche's currency, with additional investments in increments of US $50 or Jamaican $1,000 respectively. The offering is scheduled to open on March 28 and close on May 26, subject to the company's right to close the offering earlier or extend the period. The investment of time and resources in being compliant with your business may seem daunting. However, Mrs. Judith Ram Logan, attorney at law for the Corporate Services Unit of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, shares that outsourcing can make a difference. Judith, there's a lot of excitement on the street with the micro market coming on board.
Yes.
And Ministry of Finance has said that they've identified 250 companies ready. And, you know, this is going to open doors for companies that are looking between 5 million to about 50 million or maybe more in financing, giving them another option.
Right.
However, you can't get on the stock exchange regardless of your size without being compliant.
Yes.
So, based on your experience, about how many of the 250 companies you think are ready, compliant, can list tomorrow?
I would say about 50%.
50%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To the other 50% that's not ready to list tomorrow, that's not compliant, they're not the accounting, but their regulatory books are
Right.
not in order. What's your message to these companies?
I would say, you know, the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Trustee Services Limited can offer them corporate secretarial services to help them to become compliant.
Yes.
Right? So we, it will save costs to them.
Right, because they don't have to hire the people, right? Okay.
Right. If they outsource to us,
Yes.
then they wouldn't have to maintain a corporate secretarial unit.
Okay.
We would just handle everything. We have the expertise, we have the experience. You know, we're efficient, we save time. You just give us your information,
Yeah.
and we will do the work.
Okay, great. So the excitement that's in the air about this new level, because we have the main market, the junior market,
and
and
then
now this
micro.
micro market. Compliance is the key
Yes.
to unlock that money.
Yes.
And you can help.
I can help.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Ram Logan. For the trading period ending March 27, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Caribbean financial conglomerate JMMB Group Limited 10% variable rate JMD preference shares with 179,482,715 units traded, representing 84.56% of market sales volume. Alternative energy provider Wigton Energy Limited with 8,500,477 units traded, representing 4% of market sales volume. Toll road operator Trans Jamaica Highway Limited with 3,781,680 units traded, representing 1.78% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rates set by the Bank of Jamaica. On March 27, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $55.84 million purchased and US $58.07 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.85 per dollar, selling the US at $158.35 and buying the US at $156.45. The Canadian dollar netted forex traders 85 cents per transaction, with selling at $110.46 and buying at $109.61. The British pound yielded forex traders $1.51 in profits, with selling at $204.18 and buying at $202.67. For our credit report tip of the day, rebuilding credit isn't just about fixing numbers, it's about changing habits. Proactive people avoid problems before they arise. Reactive people adapt and recover after setbacks. Both can rebuild their credit effectively, but which approach do you resonate with? Winning strategies for proactive people include building an emergency fund to reduce reliance on credit, negotiating payment plans early if financial trouble is ahead, and leveraging positive credit history by keeping old accounts open. Winning strategies for reactive people could consider requesting goodwill adjustments to remove late payment records, set an auto pay for future bills to rebuild a positive payment history, staying patient and consistent because credit building takes time. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, in Trinidad, Prime Minister Stuart Young has described the discussions with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio as productive, as they were able to touch on key areas of national interest, such as national security. The Prime Minister provided an update on the meeting during Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing. Mahala Joseph Wharton has the details.
I am happy to stand here today and tell the population that the meeting was a very good meeting. The meeting was a successful meeting as far as we are concerned in Trinidad and Tobago. The exchanges between Secretary of State Rubio and myself were very positive.
Prime Minister Stuart Young said key security concerns, including transnational crime and border protection, were raised.
He is someone very familiar with this region, having operated in his political life out of Florida, that we are the third border of the United States. We are the southern marine border of the United States. That was accepted. We discussed it. We discussed the roles that we have played in recent times and in the past in assisting in operations to deal with and to target transnational organized crime, which is a big issue for the United States as well as the CARICOM and ourselves.
Prime Minister Young also gave a commitment to collaborate with the U.S. to fight transnational crime in the region, including combating the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
I had already given the commitment, and I was able to tell Secretary of State that if there is transnational organized crime operating or coming to operate in Trinidad, we want to stop that as a government. And we recognize that if we utilize our anti-terrorism legislation, it may give us a little bit more power to deal with these notorious type criminals. We are prepared to do that as a government.
He was asked whether there was evidence of the gang in Trinidad and Tobago.
We have no evidence of that. But the same way you see us doing with other, because you see it very often in newspapers or from time to time that the AG has gone to court and gotten orders to declare certain persons terrorists, etc. Let's take the preemptive strike. Let's take it. So if they arrive here, we already have the power in place.
With discussions expected to continue, Prime Minister Young said the government will keep the nation informed on any major developments. Mahala Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
Commerce Minister Emma Hippolyte is urging St. Lucians to brace for possible shortages as U.S. tariffs take effect globally. As chair of the Special Tariff Task Force established by local officials to address the repercussions of the trade war, she emphasized the importance of proactive steps.
The U.S. Tariff Task Force, established to monitor the impact of tariffs on key export nations like China, is closely observing the effects of policies under the Trump administration.
Up to this morning, when I
looked at the international news, President Trump did something else. He added another set of tariff on automobiles coming into the U.S.
Chair of the U.S. Tariff Task Force, Emma Hippolyte, announced that the task force's committees and subcommittees have met and produced a report which has been submitted to Cabinet for review. She characterized the current situation as highly fluid.
The comfort I need to give the St. Lucian population is that the government is remaining focused on trying to manage what is happening. And then we will communicate with the public when some decisions are made.
In a recent interview, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre expressed concerns shared by OECS leaders regarding the shipping taxes to be imposed on Chinese vessels docking in U.S. ports. Chair of the U.S. Tariff Task Force, Emma Hippolyte, emphasized that this issue requires close attention from all citizens, urging them to take proactive steps to mitigate any potential fallout from the U.S. maritime measure.
The vessels that usually service the Caribbean are smaller vessels. So when you have smaller vessels, immediately the cost of what is going to happen up there is going to reflect in increased prices. So we are looking at it. It's going to impact as well the availability of items. So people need to be conscious of that. And it impacts as well the way we consume. So we have to start thinking what is happening to us.
The island's Commerce Minister urged citizens to carefully manage their finances, including spending habits, consumption, and resource use, in light of the ongoing economic challenges.
Half of it is not in our hands. So what we are saying is, as a people, we need to manage it. The government is trying to manage it from where we are, but individuals need to manage it in their own families, their pocketbook, what they consume, how we use the resources, our own local resources, and how we support it.
With economic uncertainty on the horizon, Hippolyte emphasized that the responsibility falls on both government and citizens to navigate these turbulent times with caution and foresight.
Antigua and Barbuda is hosting an initiative aimed at creating a platform for a more strategic approach to its foreign policy. The 2025 diplomatic encounter is drawing on participation from diplomats, government officials, and other key stakeholders, and is seeking to ensure an alignment of the nation's foreign policy with its national priorities. Jamie J. Rocha reports.
A meeting of minds, strategy, and vision, and taken about with ambassadors from across the globe, have gathered for the 2025 Diplomatic Encounter Forum. This biennial event is about making sure the nation's foreign policy is not just responsive, but proactive.
The global landscape is shifting rapidly. As a nation, we must ensure that our diplomatic engagements remain proactive, strategic, and deeply connected to our national development priorities.
President and CEO of Africa Center in New York, Martin Kamani, praises Antigua and Barbuda's diplomatic assertiveness, highlighting Ambassador Aubrey Webster's leadership on key international issues.
And to listen to Ambassador Webson speak to the various issues in New York is to really understand that Antigua does not aspire to be by the sidelines, to wait to be told what is coming ahead. But Antigua's diplomacy speaks from the front and tries to reinforce the foundations of a strained international system.
In sports, we begin with athletics. Defending boys champions Kingston College and former girls champions Hydel High emerged as the leaders after Thursday's third day of the 115th ISSA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships at the National Stadium. In the boys section, Kingston College amassed 99.5 points from 15 finals, holding a comfortable 23.5-point lead over second place Calabar, who has 76 points. Jamaica College sits in third with 54 points. while St. Jago High and Excelsior High round out the top 5 with 34 and 33 points respectively. Monroe College made a strong push, scoring 28 points on the day to surge to 6th place with 30 points. They are followed by Wolmer's on 27 points, Edwin Allen High and St. Elizabeth Technical on 18 points each, and Belfield High and Homewood Technical, both with 15 points. The girls' competition is closely contested, with just 5 points separating the top 3 teams after 16 finals. Hydel High leads with 88 points, narrowly ahead of defending champions Edwin Allen High, who have 84 points. Homewood Technical sits just behind in 3rd with 83 points. St. Jago High is in 4th with 48 points, while Immaculate Conception rounds out the top 5 with 35 points. Vere Technical follows in 6th with 29 points, while Wilmer's 25, Excelsior 23, Alphonsus Davis 22, and St. Mary High School 22 complete the top 10. The competition continues to heat up as teams battle for supremacy in this thrilling championship. Now on to the pitch with cricket. The 2025 Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League is set to commence on August 14 in St. Kitts and Nevis, who will play the hosts to the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons at Warner Park. Nasir Mohammed has more.
The official tournament schedule unveiled by CPL indicated a captivating start, reminiscent of last year's thrilling opener, although this time on Patriots' home turf. The Falcons will face a challenging start as they also meet reigning champions St. Lucia Kings on home ground in Antigua on August 17th. On the same date, powerhouse franchise Trinbago Knight Riders, holders of a record 4 CPL titles, will begin their campaign against the Patriots in St. Kitts. TKR's opening fixtures will involve 2 more away games against the Falcons in Antigua on August 20th and against defending champions St. Lucia Kings at St. Lucia's Darren Sammy Cricket Ground on August 23rd. Following these early road tests, TKR will return to Trinidad for an extended series of 5 consecutive home fixtures from August 27th through September 3rd. Their opponents will include the Falcons on August 27th, Barbados Royals August 29th, fierce rivals Guyana Amazon Warriors August 30th, Patriots on September 1st, and the Kings on September 3rd. TKR wraps up their preliminary stage with 2 final away matches, first facing Amazon Warriors on September 6th, followed by an encounter against Barbados Royals at Kensington Oval on September 12th. The tournament comprises 34 exciting matches across Caribbean venues, with CPL Operations Director Michael Hall promising a spectacular 2025 season. Hall said, "Following an outstanding 2024 tournament, we're dedicated to elevating the event further this year. Fans can anticipate memorable cricket action throughout the Caribbean, showcasing incredible talent and passionate support." The knockout stages commence on September 16th at Guyana's National Stadium in Providence, including the championship decider at the same venue on September 21st. TKR will be eager to improve their fortunes after last season's controversial elimination by the Barbados Royals, an outcome decided under shortened playing conditions following an unexpected electrical disruption at the Providence Stadium.
And that's it for the weekend news on PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.